Danny Panzella, reporting from Kennedy Airport in New York City. The TSA has recently announced they will be removing the naked body backscatter scanners from airports. But don't celebrate just yet. They're replacing them with millimeter wave scanners. No longer will TSA agents view passengers' naked images. Instead, a generic image will highlight potential hazard areas where the machine detects metal or plastics. Some see this as a victory for privacy, even if it's a small one. When the naked body scanners were first introduced in 2010 in response to the attempted underwear bombing, it sparked a nationwide controversy for many travelers, as well as privacy and health advocates. TSA agents all over the country were caught oogling passengers, making lewd comments, and targeting attractive travelers for scanning. One TSA agent even printed the naked image of a celebrity and asked for an autograph, exposing the fact that the machines do in fact print and store images despite what the TSA says. The University of California issued a memo to the White House asking for a moratorium on use of the machines until more research could be done on the adverse effects of backscatter radiation. This recent change does nothing to address the Fourth Amendment concerns about people being treated as terrorists until proven innocent by a scan or a pat-down. I will come back to the health dangers of both types of machines in a moment. There is a frightening aspect to this story that has come to light over the last several years that no one is talking about. Let's look at the timeline of how this technology came to be adopted by the TSA, which is a division of the Department of Homeland Security. According to the Washington Post, Homeland Security Chief Michael Chertoff has been advocating for use of the naked body scanner machines since 2005. But Chertoff admitted in a CNN interview that Congress refused to approve use of the machines.
But there are a few things we could do to make things better. First, we could deploy the scanning machines that we currently are beginning to deploy in the U.S. That has been vigorously opposed by the ACLU and privacy advocates. The House of Representatives voted to prevent us from using it.
The Chertoff Group is a security consulting firm on retainer by Rapiscan Systems, one of the two approved U.S. government vendors for the body scanners. In November 2009, Umar Farouk Abdulmuttalib's father had reported him to the State Department believing he might commit an act of terrorism. On December 25, 2009, Abdulmuttalib attempted to detonate plastic explosives hidden in his underwear while on board Northwest Airlines Flight 253 from Amsterdam to Detroit, Michigan. Witnesses say the underwear bomber was escorted onto the plane by a well-dressed man in a suit.
The U.S. government escorted him through security without a passport, and we believe gave him an intentionally defective bomb. The ticket agent did not want to allow Muttalib on the flight, and this man was very insistent of it, and then she referred them to a manager down the hallway.
Neither man was seen again by witnesses until Umar attempted to detonate the bomb during the flight. On January 20th, 2010, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Michael E. Leiter, made a startling admission. Leiter indicated, "I will tell you that when people come to this country and they are on a watch list, it is because we have generally made the choice that we want them here in the country for some reason or another." Patrick F. Kennedy, an undersecretary for management at the State Department, said, Abdulmuttalib's visa wasn't taken away because intelligence officials asked his agency not to deny a visa to the suspected terrorist over concerns that a denial would have foiled a larger investigation into al-Qaeda threats against the United States. So here we see not only a concerted effort to allow a suspected terrorist to enter the U.S. by allowing him to keep his visa, we also see a security agent from an unnamed agency escorting the terrorist onto the plane, apparently bypassing normal security measures. Even more disturbing is that this seems to be counterterrorism policy. According to USA Today, as of November 23, 2010, the U.S. government has paid $41.2 million for body scanner technology to Michael Chertoff's client, Rapiscan Systems. What is frightening are Michael Chertoff's comments on CNN a few weeks after the bombing.
The House of Representatives voted to prevent us from using it, but I think now there's been a very vivid lesson in the value of that machinery.
Did Michael Chertoff use his influence as the head of the Department of Homeland Security to create a public relations stunt to teach Congress a lesson and motivate them to purchase millions of dollars in naked body scanning technology?
The House of Representatives voted to prevent us from using it, But I think now there's been a very vivid lesson in the value of that machinery.
Okay, can I stop you there for a second? I know you've been an advocate of this technology for a long time.
Correct.
But just in the interest of full disclosure, I also want to point out in your current role as a security consultant, you are representing some of the companies who manufacture that technology, correct?
Absolutely correct, yeah.
Okay.
It is interesting to note that Umar Farouk Abdulmuttalib had originally pled innocent and had even claimed in pretrial conferences that he was given the bomb by intelligence agents. He later changed his plea to guilty, which abruptly ended his trial. Did Chertoff use his connections to allow a patsy into the country with a dud explosive?
In the years to follow, the backlash produced protests and opt-outs, which led to TSA's implementation of the enhanced pat-down, sometimes referred to as gate rape, which included touching genital areas as well as agents putting their fingers inside the waistband of passengers' pants. In October, TSA announced it would be removing the backscatter machines in an attempt to speed up the screening process. They said they would replace the machines with millimeter wave scanners and move the slower machines to smaller, less traveled airports. Now, just a few months later, the TSA has changed their tune. Now they say Congress has mandated that the naked images be changed. Rapiscan says they can't come up with a software modification by the June deadline, so the machines are being scrapped, and the TSA will purchase more millimeter wave scanners from L3 Communications. So what about health concerns? Numerous studies conducted by prestigious universities and health authorities, including Johns Hopkins University, Columbia University, the University of California, and the Interagency Committee on Radiation Safety, have warned that the devices will lead to an increase in cancers. Despite the fact that almost every independent study has concluded that these machines will cause cancer cases to increase, the TSA routinely denies the threat and has even claimed that the Johns Hopkins study has validated the safety of the scanners, when in fact it said the opposite. Johns Hopkins biophysics expert Dr. Michael Love warned, statistically, someone is going to get skin cancer from these x-rays. Are millimeter wave scanners safer? Not according to an MIT article, which says that this radiation can actually weaken the bonds that hold genetic information contained in DNA strands. Boyan Alexandrov at the Center for Nonlinear Studies at Los Alamos National Laboratory has concluded that the effects of the radiation cause double-stranded DNA to unzip, creating bubbles in the double strand that could significantly interfere with processes such as gene expression and DNA replication. According to the TSA, the backscatter machines are being considered for other government facilities like prisons and military bases where privacy is less of a concern, but they have made no comment as to the health effects. So is all of this security really necessary? Are these measures really about security or corporations lobbying for government contracts? Should Americans be surrendering their civil liberties? What about the Fourth Amendment and the sacred right to be innocent until proven guilty? When traveling, it is important to know that you have the right to opt out of the body scanning machines, which will then subject you to an invasive enhanced pat-down. It's also important to know that the TSA has already begun using similar technology on U.S. highways, trains, and bus stations. Homeland Security head Janet Napolitano has said sports stadiums and malls are the next on the list for implementation of TSA security protocols. The TSA has already run trials at the Mall of America. The NYPD, which serves as a model for policing worldwide, is also testing the technology to scan pedestrians on the street. It's clear that very soon these issues will be affecting a lot more than the flying public. So Americans will have to decide just how much liberty they are willing to trade for alleged security. I'm Danny Panzella at Kennedy Airport in New York City.